This revolution is not going away.
This is the Ron Paul Liberty Report with Ron Paul, Daniel McAdams, and Chris Rossini.
We are all ambassadors of the Ron Paul doctrine, and it's so simple. Just tell the truth.
An idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by any army or any government.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to the Liberty Report. With us today, we have Daniel McAdams, our co-host. Daniel, good to see you this morning.
Happy Monday, Dr. Paul. Happy President's Day.
Oh.
We forgot about that almost.
The President of the United States has birthday parties?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's going to do that, but...
Well, good. I'm glad. That used to be a holiday for school.
Yeah, we used to get two of them, Lincoln
no,
and...
it wasn't. It wasn't President's Day. We had
Lincoln's birthday.
Lincoln and Washington.
Washington's birthday, yeah, exactly.
So
good old days.
what are we going to do today? We're going to celebrate birthdays? No, we have a new organization in Washington, something to do with peace. They have this peace conference, and Trump's ahead of it, so it's going to be peace in our life.
That's great.
And we're going to see it. But there's some effort made, and I'm sure there's a lot that are sincere and a lot are conniving. And it seems like the connivers have been more successful over the years than the people who are sincerely looking for peace. Because policies, whether they're Republican policies or Democratic policies, whether they're mistaken or planning, it seems like the stage is always being set, for more war rather than more peace. And of course, everybody knows what side we're on that. So we hope the meeting that's coming up and a continuation of some discussions between the United States and a foreign minister with Iran, that's a step in the right direction. But most of the people in government, the ones that are real aggressive, they despise the fact that they're even talking. Others are doing it for various reasons. And it reminds me of the time and the place when they tried to get people together to just talk before World War II. Yeah. And I sincerely believe, in looking at that history, that war could have been avoided by a few decent people talking. They had a few decent people, but nobody would listen to them. So here we are now. They said, well, we're not talking about a world war going on here, but who knows what will happen. But we know that it's been around, and I was always disappointed because I sort of liked Eisenhower. He came and did part of his presidency in Gettysburg, and I happened to be in school there, so we would bump into the president once in a while. But we now are looking at people trying hard to bring about peace, and they may have these meetings. But even Eisenhower was a disappointment because he told us about the military-industrial complex. But and after reading more about him and his relationship with his Secretary of State, and they believed in the secrecy of war, do things behind the scenes. So one of the first things that Eisenhower got involved with our friends in Britain, and that was to go and kick out the Shah, at least the government that leaned toward the West, and the Shah at that time was not exactly a libertarian, so we got rid of him mainly and put in
the Shah, Governor Mossadegh,
Mossadegh. He got Mossadegh, Dr. Mossadegh.
That's right.
So they did that, and that was supposed to, improve things, but that ushered in from 1953 on to 79.
Yeah, exactly.
Now going on again. And I don't understand the obsession of it. I understand conflicts and disagreements, but just think, an activity happening in 1953 has led to how many people have died, how much money has been spent, how much hatred has been generated, and there are times in our history that we actually talked to Iranians and got along with them. But anyway, there's an effort. There's been some meetings, and Witkoff is having a meeting with the foreign
minister, yeah.
Having the foreign minister trying to generate an interest in peace. So they're had talked, now talking some more, and they're doing a little bit of talking in public, trying to show who's going to be in the best position. But I guess there's always hope that something good will come of it, and that it will lead to a better step. But I guess I'm right now a little bit leery. I'm always hopeful, but I guess maybe even that's tomorrow. I guess they're meeting. Maybe we'll hear something. It'll say, well, boy, this is pretty good. At least they're going in the right direction. So this might seem like an incidental meeting because so many other things are going on now. We have some domestic things going on that people worry about, and rightfully so. So we'll see, and maybe about it more the next day. We'll hear something. We'll say, you know what, that's good. But right now, I'm skeptical.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a reason to be. Now, this is the second round. They met last Tuesday in Oman. I believe it was Tuesday. And now they're going to meet tomorrow in Geneva. It's the same group. And it's a very odd situation, Dr. Paul, because here you have the foreign minister of Iran, Araghchi, and then you don't have his counterpart in Marco Rubio. You have the president's friend, who is a real estate developer, and the president's son-in-law. It's a weird situation. I don't remember ever seeing anything like that in history. Nevertheless, they'll be representing the U.S. side, and the idea is a last-ditch chance to avoid war. Now, I don't know if this is accurate exactly, but I saw someone posting on X that the U.S. has now stationed 1/3 of its entire naval power in the theater of war with Iran, and that's an enormous amount of naval and air power over there, ready for war. This is exactly what we saw. Well, it's actually even more than we saw around Venezuela when they put a bunch of stuff in there. And then the thing is, they put Trump in a box. What are you going to do? You've got all the stuff there. You better strike. You can't go home. People think you're a wimp. You're a weakling. And that's what the neocons have done. But what supposedly is going to happen tomorrow, the problem is, and I mentioned the word Rombier recently, and that's what happened, if you remember, with Yugoslavia and the Serbs. They were presented a list of things they had to do, which essentially included giving up their sovereignty. This was in 1999, and the Serbs said, no, I mean, we can't accept this. It's impossible. And so the bombs started. And so the neocons, of course, have given a lot of poison pills by putting out points that there's no way the Iranians could accept. Now, one of the reasons we're wanting to talk about this today is there's a little bit of optimism. We're searching for some, because we don't want a war. A war will be terrible for Israel. It will be terrible for Iran. It'll be terrible for the thousands of American soldiers that are going to be in harm's way. But what Iran did yesterday is they put out sort of a surprise, Dr. Paul. And if you put that first one up, the problem is Trump needs a way out. He needs a way to say, this is a victory. I'm not backing down. I got everything I wanted and then some. And though this is a possibility, and this is from Hedge, but you can see it anywhere else, amid saber rattling, Iran touts economic benefits to the West if a nuclear deal is reached. And it goes days ahead of another round of talks with U.S. negotiators, and on the heels of more saber rattling by the Trump administration, Iran is touting the potential mutual economic benefits of a deal that would terminate the West's long-running sanctions regime against the second largest and second most populous country in the Middle East. And this is their deputy director of economic development diplomacy. He said, for the sake of an agreement's durability, it's essential that the U.S. also benefits in areas with high and quick economic returns. So he said that during the negotiations, there have been discussions of what Far is called shared interests in the fields of oil, gas, mining, and even aircraft purchases. So what Iran, I think, is doing here, Dr. Paul, is saying, hang on a minute. There are other factors that we can talk about. We can both make money. Let's do business together. Let's not fight each other. And I think this offers a glimmer of hope. If Trump does take it, that he can tout it as a win. I think the Iranians have said, well, we agree with you. The JCPOA was flawed, because it didn't mention this possibility of economic cooperation to mutual benefits. So this is even better. Wink, wink. President Trump, take it, and a war can be avoided.
No, I think that sounds good, and you offer that suggestion and why they don't go in that direction. Let's hope they do. But even as we sit here and talk about it, I had a few negative thoughts that came to mind, so I might as well get them off my chest. That I've often had a theory or a thought about naval operations can lead to war. If you think about the Spanish-American War, there was a ship that was taken. And if you read the controversy about getting into World War II, you will find that maybe our Navy was known, and we knew about the Japanese, and there was, and look at what happened after that. Now, look at those ships sitting around, around Iran. Now, it looks like there could be danger. There could be an accident. One of those ships could go down. And besides, the amount of money spent on this, and it, in a way, old-fashioned, because, there were surface vessels. If you had some country that was pretty sophisticated on missiles that were overwhelming, some of those ships, maybe they're as vulnerable and more vulnerable than just being there for terrorizing the Iranians and making them bend over. But anyway, I think those ships there are so unnecessary and so provoking, and in a way, militarily not all that smart if you ever had a real enemy. I mean, if we could put people on the moon, and they're talking about going to Mars and all these things, that and all the ability to fly these weapons around the world, it looks to me like a dangerous thing to do. So I think that if I were there, I would say, if you guys are serious, get your ships away. What do you want to do that for? You might have an accident and want to blame somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I know one thing. I'll probably be wrong, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, let's hope. I mean, the U.S., there's no question it has a massive military might. But in this conflict, Iran has a home field advantage. This is off of their shores. The current U.S. aircraft carrier, the Abraham Lincoln, is 700 miles away because it doesn't dare get within range of the Iranian missiles. They don't want to get within range. So it's a standoff at this point. Now here's a couple more from the article. Oman is set to, we're going to skip this one. Oman set to mediate the talks this week. Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran, is leading the Iranian delegation. Ahead of the talks, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made his 6th U.S. meeting with Trump just this year. Now, here's the kicker, Dr. Paul. Here's the key. Netanyahu continues to push for terms that guarantee Iranian refusals and thus set the stage for more war. And we'll go into those later. We won't read that now go to the next one. But apparently, because they know that they're not going to take Iran down in a day. And this is the worrisome part, Dr. Paul. On Friday, Reuters reported that the Pentagon is prepared for a, quote, sustained, weeks-long military campaign against Iran. And I've heard talk of even troops on the ground there. This is very, very serious. They've been told, look, this is not a one and off. You're not going to be able to hit them. They're going to say uncle, and we're going to go home victorious. If you're going to take on Iran, which is orders of magnitude larger, more populous, more advanced than Iraq was, which how long did that saddle us? How many years? If you're going to do that, you're not going to be taking it overnight. Of course,
Afghanistan, that was another promise.
Yeah.
It would be a short war, and it would be over with. And the long-lasting thing, I just wonder whether they miscalculate or they're miscalculating accurately on what
purpose,
they want.
yeah.
Maybe chronic wars where you can contain the nuclear bombs, and yet that's difficult to believe it would happen. It'd be stupid and evil and immoral and all these unconstitutional. These acts, even boycotts and embargoes of not allowing people to trade and get something that they need. Like, we're going to make sure China doesn't have any any oil. Keep the oil out of there. And then not look at the history. That's exactly what was done with Japan. So it's just as amazing that they continue to do this. At the same time, it's something that people will, and maybe the long, softer war is the way a military-industrial complex just about prefers to it. You know, and that's a horrible thing just to have to even consider it. But history shows that you're forced to at least have that cross your mind, you know, on what can come of all this.
Keep the profits flowing.
There you go.
Well, I have this next section of a couple clips, and I call this the gallery of rogues, the rogues gallery, because I honestly do believe, and Colonel McGregor's talked about this too, that Trump doesn't want this war necessarily. He wouldn't mind a quick in and out. He loved the Venezuela operation. Boom, we got him in, we took him out, super clean, nobody got hurt, except a lot of Venezuelans and Cubans. That's what he wants, and he's not going to get. I don't think he wants this war. Unfortunately, the neocons, as they always do, have backed him into a corner now, and they will turn on him like a pack of rabid dogs. And so here's a rogues gallery. Here's the first one. This is Marco Rubio. And this is a quote that he said, I think, in Munich over the weekend. Rubio says, a deal with Iran is not easy. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said striking a deal with Iran is not easy, arguing that Tehran's decisions are shaped by radical Shia clerics whose base policy on theology, well, I would say doing a deal with America is not easy because they had a deal. Iran had a deal with America. Iran kept up its bargain with the deal, the JCPOA, and the U.S. just abrogated the deal unilaterally. So who's the one that's hard to make a deal with? You know, they always say that you can't make a deal with Iran. Iran was never in violation of the JCPOA as long as the U.S. was in it. And then the U.S. tore it up, and Iran said, okay, well, then we're not going to play anymore.
Yeah, and what kind of criticism do the people get if they point these things out? Oh, you're a patsy, you know, during the Cold War, you're nothing more than a Soviet communist, or now you're a supporter of the terrorists, on and on they go. And it continues, but I tell you what, there's some other things that are happening that will interfere with the decision, and that is, yes, we're still rich and we still have been able to maintain the reserve currency of the world, but that's where people have a lot more strength than it's realized. That you know, if you can undermine the value of the counterfeiters, you know, and that's what we are. We're the counterfeiters of the world because we really don't have to think about deficits anymore. We think about it for political reason and fanfare, but we don't have to because everybody else needs our dollar. And I think that's the reason why we've been able to get people to roll over because, you know, even our allies, the threats are, if you don't do this, we're going to put tariffs on you. If you don't do this, we might even bomb your country. You know?
And we do.
It's such a shame that that is approached this way. It's sort of the opposite of what libertarianism is all about.
Exactly true. Well, you know, the things that Iran is willing to talk about and negotiate are the amount of enriched uranium. We talked about this last week. They're holding like some 200 kilograms or whatever of enriched uranium at 60%. They're willing to talk about that. They're willing to talk about a plan to curtail highly enriched uranium, to make it down to 20% for medical isotopes. There are a lot of things they're willing to put on the table. But the problem is, in comes Netanyahu, like he did just last week. He comes into town and says, no, that's not good enough. Here are my demands. And the demands are designed to fail, because what he wants is the U.S. to fight his war for him. And in fact, here is a clip, an audio clip, a video clip here of Netanyahu saying that exact thing, saying something there is no way, unless the Iranian government is insane. If we put up that first video, there is no way that Iran could accept these deals.
But I said that if a deal is to be reached, it should have several components that we believe are important not only for the security of Israel, but for the security of the world, the United States, the region, the world. The first is that all enriched material has to leave Iran. The second is that there shall be no enrichment capability not stopping the enrichment process, but dismantle the equipment and the infrastructure that allows you to enrich in the first place. And the third is to deal also with the questions of ballistic missiles. There's an MTCR limitation of 300 kilometers, and Iran is supposed to adhere to it. Of course it doesn't. As the Rising Lion operation by itself manifested, everybody knows that. And the fourth is dismantle the axis of terror that Iran has built. It's been smashed, but it's still there. It's trying to recover, as Iran itself is trying to do. And the last thing is, remember Ronald Reagan's dictum vis-a-vis the Soviet Union? Trust but verify, distrust, and always verify. So there has to be real inspections, substantive inspections, no lead time inspections, but
So they have to dismantle all of their defensive capability. They have to lay down their arms, and they have to completely dismantle even their legal, even their completely justifiable nuclear generation capability. Even though they are signatories of the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which Israel is not, they refuse to sign it. They're not allowed to have the rights that they have under that treaty, says Netanyahu. He keeps coming up with new things to make sure that any kind of agreement will fail.
Unfortunately, and he has a lot of influence.
He does. Well, actually, go to that next one. This is Senator Graham, not the video, but just the JPEG. Here's Senator Graham. He's putting words. Go to that next one. There are no gaps between Trump and Bibi about what to do and how to do it. That's what he said earlier today, I think it was. He's in Tel Aviv again, of course. So he's saying that there's no difference, but there should be a difference because they have different interests. But here's a clip, as a video clip of Lindsey Graham talking about this. Now listen carefully what he says about the fact that Americans will die in this war of choice. If you cue up that second video, Americans will die in this war of choice. Let's listen.
Could our soldiers be hit in the region? Absolutely, they could. Can Iran respond if we have an all-out attack? Absolutely, they can. I think the risk associated with that is far less than the risk associated with blinking and pulling the plug and not helping the people as you promised.
Listen to that. Will Americans die? Yes. Can Iran target them? Yes. But we think it's worth it. Doesn't that remind you almost of Albright? We think the cost is worth it, right? Yeah. All right, but we think the cost is worth it. Of course, there won't be Lindsey out there.
But, you know, you've commented on this before about his visibility on Sundays.
Yeah.
It was again this
every week. Yeah.
It's getting work. He's getting as much time as the vice president. Oh, no, yeah. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But it was like overnight. It was here. He was there talking all his malarkey.
Yeah.
Some of us were annoyed, but all of a sudden, he's Trump's best friend.
Yeah. Yeah, as he says it, you know. Can you imagine? It's like the kid, you're in high school, and the kid who's always trying to hang out with you, you don't want to hang around with him, you know. That must be hard for him to sober up to get on those shows. But I did want to do just one last thing. I know we're getting close to closing, but our good friend Real Scrivener, who I think is one of the best analysts, objective analysts of what's going on, this is something that people need to understand. Capabilities are important here. Now, we've moved a massive amount of equipment over there, but if you go to the second to the last one, if you don't mind, I'm going to skip a few because it's getting late. So he makes this good point. It seems few people have stopped to consider the reality and implications that Mach 7+ missiles are able to get places a whole lot faster than Mach 0.7 Tomahawk cruise missiles and F-15s and F-35s at Mach 0.9 weapons-laden cruising speeds. Now, what that means, if you go to the next one, it means about when weapons hit, Dr. Paul. To me, the key indicator, writes Will Scrivener, beginning in the first hours of conflict will be the degree to which U.S.-Israeli targets are getting hit. Iran will be able to almost immediately detect U.S. aircraft and Tomahawk launches. And depending on where in Iran is being targeted, from launch to strike will take anywhere from 30 minutes to 3+ hours. So that's how long it will take for the U.S. to strike in Iran, 30 minutes to 3+ hours. And he points out Iranian short-range ballistic missiles can hit U.S. bases in the region within 5 to 7 minutes. Therefore, Iran can very conceivably achieve multiple significant strikes against U.S. targets long before U.S. munitions hit any targets in Iran. So even if the U.S. launches first, Dr. Paul, their missiles are so much closer and so much faster to our bases, they could actually hit their targets before the Americans do. That's why this is just so insane. So insane. All the service members in those bases are just sitting ducks. And Lindsey doesn't care. He's not gonna be there. So.
And he won't be in the front lines.
No, he won't. He will not. So anyway, we'll see what happens tomorrow, Dr. Paul. We pray for peace, obviously, as we always do.
Yes, before we close, I have a quickie. Yeah. And this is a quickie, even though it goes on forever. I can remember 20 or 30 years ago, I was complaining about us going into place and blowing up things, killing people. And then when finally we run out of steam and the people get tired of it, then we say, oh, we have to rebuild them. It was our fault. And the people go along with it. The people have to pay the taxes. They don't have any control over it. But our argument is they ought to get control and interested in before these things get out of hand, before we kill a lot of people. But it's happening again. There's now Trump has this thing, this board of peace. You can tell us all about the board of peace and who they are and what part of the Constitution that they're following. Trump says the board of peace, I love the title, to unveil $5 billion Gaza rebuilding plan at first meeting. Oh, they got off pretty fast. And they don't have to worry, if they can collect it, fine. If they can badger, they can. But they can also print it, because I do believe sincerely that some of this stuff can be manipulated through the financial system, and they have somebody running a super printing press over there at the Fed, so they'll get the money planning at the first minute, this planning. But at the same time, is this a sign of peace coming? Yeah, but on the same page, Israel attacks, kill at least 12 Palestinians in Gaza. With us, we're ready. We're anxious to rebuild, don't you know? So, yeah, they're still doing it. You said, well, at least that's not Americans. This is Israel doing that, and people can accept that. But that's not true. Everything, probably 90% of the weapons and cost in life, has been related to our policies, because we provide all the weapons, all the bombs. And it to me is so tragic. So here it is. You're blowing up people, and I've said so often, before you know it, you're going to see us paying to rebuild it, and they're trying to turn Gaza into the fanciest beachhead ever in the world. So, but even though they haven't run out of money yet, and the people still accept it, people will run out of the ability to do it. And the financial system usually is a limitation to how long these empires can last.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to say goodbye to our viewers, and I thank all of them. I'm watching everyone here on live on X, a good viewership, and we thank all of you, everyone on YouTube, everyone on Rumble watching us now in 3 different places. We're very, very happy. That makes us happy on a Monday morning. The world may be a mess, but we're happy to have some friends
Very
out there.
Good. I, too, want to thank our viewers for tuning in today, because spreading the message is very important to us. It's the only way we do it. At one time, they used pamphlets, and they were able to change the world. And we have a technology where, although it can be used against us, it also can be used to promote the cause of liberty, and that's what we try to do to the best of our ability. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today to the Liberty Report. Please come back soon.
Thanks for watching the Ron Paul Liberty Report. Like and subscribe to help spread the message. And until next time, live free.
This country